So for that particular case, Chair, is that the procurement process had overlapped into the next financial year, and by the time we concluded, that's why it has that date. So it started in the financial year that was within 2023-2024, but then overlapped.
The issue raised by the Auditor General is about delayed contract execution. So you concede that this contract execution was delayed and crossed beyond the financial year in issue.
Yes.
Tell us why.
The reasons, Chair, like again I submitted last Thursday, one of the challenges we have is the financial gaps. That we do not have the finances at some point to deliver on these contracts. As such, we sometimes have to put them on hold for some time until when we get the finances to execute them. And that's why you see that some of the contracts really have overlapped.
Where is that one in your management response? You delayed because of this. And look at updated management response at page 14 of your volume. You only said contract management documentation for 4 procurements below. You only responded to the issue raised by the Auditor General that you did not avail the documents. So you only said we did not avail the documents because they were somewhere. Actually, even that one is evidence, is the statement you made to the Auditor General during audit. The accounting office explained that the contract management plans and reports have been submitted for verification. However, contrary to management's response, reports for 4 contracts totaling to 4.075 billion were not availed. These are reports on supply of motor vehicle, procurement of additional GSE pushback, procurement of implementation partner, Oracle Fusion Performance Management, and leading module, supply of consolidated IT equipment. So you did not tell us that you delayed because of finances. So you see the gap in your response. You do not respond to the query. Anyway, there is no query because these particular ones have not been audited. Colleagues, do you get where I'm coming from? That these contracts, one involving the supply of motor vehicle, 213.9 million, additional GSE pushback of USD 760,000, procurement of an implementation partner for the Oracle Fusion, 90,000, and then the supply of consolidated IT equipment, 640 Uganda shillings. Now, I want us to start looking at each one in Annex K before you come in, Honorable Itungo. CEO and your team, you attached Annex K, collective Annex K. I want to call it collective Annex K, which is evidence, the documentation. Let's get first one, that letter to Georgina, Lydia. What does it prove in terms of the query? At page 14, in terms of page 14, which annexes it.
Yes, sir. I need to understand.
Okay. In your response, you make, at that page 14, you make reference to Annex K, collective Annex K. The first document in collective Annex K is this letter of 3rd September. How does it relate? You are hereby appointed to supervise contract for the supply of Lot 3, double cabin. Double cabin is the first one, the 213 million.
Yes.
So what was Nabuire's work?
Chair, Nabuiro, Actually, she was appointed as the contract manager to ensure that that contract is performed effectively and to fruition and delivered.
This is the double cabin Helix.
Yes.
Okay, now let's look at the documentation in relation to each other. To act as a contract manager for the supply. She's appointed on 3rd September 24. The delivery note indicates a date of 30th January 2025. By the time you appointed this contract manager, you now had the money. Am I right?
Yes, Chair.
When did the procurement begin for that double cabin?
Chair, I don't have the facts of the procurement right now, but I can get the facts and submit.
Do you know when you received the money?
Chair, part of what we do also in the planning is that some of the monies that we utilize for our planning of the procurement plan is internally generated. So in this case, I don't think that we're expecting money to perform on this, but to use what has been internally generated.
Okay. I think, colleagues, we may be flogging a dead horse if we are going to proceed like this. It is better to give us a report so that we are able to interrogate the process. In this case, they will have to audit the procurement process, when the procurement was commenced and when it ended. And was this Georgina already a staff at Uganda Airlines?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, so this was just an assignment of additional responsibility.
Yes, Chair.
What is the ranking of an administrative officer? Yes.
John?
Let me ask John to the HR
Chair,
to
let me.
Ranking of an admin, we have different rankings, and she's at officer level. That means after the assistant managers, she's next in line.
She's next after the officer?
After the assistant manager, we have the officer.
Isn't this person too junior to be assigned this kind of responsibility? Contract manager?
Thank you, Chair, for your question. It depends. I want to be polite how I answer the question.
You have a duty, but I don't mind even if you're not polite, as long as I get the answer.
No, I will not be impolite. So we have the manager, then we have no assistant in between, and then we have the admin officer. We don't have an admin manager. So she's the one that manages that area of administration, sir. So her roles make, much as it's officer here, her roles are more than what you'd consider an officer to be doing.
Okay.
So to answer your question, she's not too junior to manage this role, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable.
Colleagues, I think we Tungo, then Deputy Chair.
In his submission, he said you had given the documents to the auditors in an exit meeting. Can we have the minutes of the exit meeting? Chair, can we have a copy of the minutes of the exit meeting?
Yes, we can have the minutes.
It would give us that guidance, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Then, Mr. Chairman, number 2 is on this delivery note. Chair, when you read the delivery note, there is a remarks delivered in good shape. But when you look at this lady, Junior Nabuire, down after her signature, she's saying pending. And there is a word inspection. So what I thought you first inspect, then
No. The
What is
delivered
this
in
description?
good shape
you.
is a remark of the person delivering. Am I right? For the person delivering is saying, I have delivered it in good shape. Now we put a disclaimer on ourselves that yes, whatever you are saying, it is subject to inspection from our side. Isn't that what it means?
Now, Chair, what should come first?
No, no, no. For Nabwire. For, For-
don't inspect?
you first deliver. Because how else would you inspect? But this one says subject to inspection. It is okay. Okay, Deputy Chair?
Thank you, Chair. Look at page 12 of the management response. Page 12, contract number 2. That is procurement of additional GSEs, pushback and conveyor belts. Are you at page 12? When look at the management response, contract number 2, the manufacturing for pushback and conveyor belts commenced upon 30% advance payment. Factory acceptance test was done and shipping was made on 19th February 2025. Chair, when you go to page 11 of the Auditor General's report, page 11, we look at the accounting officer explained that the procurement of additional GSEs, main deck.
Wait. I don't seem to have my page 11 here.
Page 11 of the Auditor General's report.
Yes, this is the one I'm looking at. This is page 10. This is 12. Yes, 11,
Yes,
Deputy Chair.
page 11, at the top of it, there was the accounting officer explained that the procurement of addition, but my concern is exactly the factory acceptance test was done and shipping is scheduled for 7th January 2025. At the management response, they are talking about 19th February of 2025. Mean there is also a delay. Further delay. We need the explanation of specifically what happened over this.
I don't know. They can answer, but it is not to me very substantial. Time they prepared these ones, the responses, it was after delivery. So they were now exact on when the delivery was made.
We need explanation.
Please explain.
Thank you, Chair. In the last page, Honorable Chair, was a page where we were requested to give a process flow, what happened. So we've put that in the file that you have, sir.
$12 days.
Yes, there was a delay.
By the time they were talking to the auditor, if delivery had not been effected, by the time they were writing the responses to us, delivery had been effected.
They are not 12, almost 40 days.
40 days, yeah. That was the delay. It was. We shall make a... I think, like I guided earlier, let's have these, Madam Auditor, let's have this audited and you give us a report in 1 week. Unfortunately,
my question,
yes.
on the same directed to inquire on their readiness, their strategy going forward.
Oh, yes, that question is supposed to be answered.
And they haven't yet answered.
They have not, I agree. We sustained that question and they're going to answer it.
Yeah.
Yes, but I wanted to say, let this be audited.
The accounting officer of the airline company to ensure every contract has a detailed management plan, outline timelines, monitoring mechanisms, and deliverables. We want to know the status whether these are in place.
That feeds into the Honorable Nkunyinji Mwada's question on going forward.
Honorable, for that question. So what we have done as mitigation measures, one, we have engaged our staff on training, and this has been in collaboration with PPDA to ensure that we upskill the contract managers that we have, but also the entire workforce to understand the obligations that they're required of in contract management. Number two, we have liaised with our IT team, like I earlier on said, to create for us on SharePoint, where we are able to upload some of the documentations so that we have soft copies. The other one that we have also done basically is that we have ensured that we appoint more than one contract manager, especially for complex, given the challenges and the gaps that we have had in managing these contracts, so that at least there is some level of balance in reporting. As PDU as well, we provide monthly reports to our CFO, outlining challenges and also highlighting the critical contracts that we have, one for provisioning, and then the other two, we also highlight the challenges we are facing with certain contracts. And then lastly, Chair, what we have also done is that we have instituted a mechanism where we are able to collaborate with all the contract managers to ensure that going forward, we are speaking the same language, we are monitoring the contracts in tandem, and this is based on the meetings that we are having with them and then constant follow-ups. Now, as PDU again, we have also generated a comprehensive contract management file where we update on a weekly and share some of the information to HODs on a weekly basis, especially for the items that are fast moving. And like the CEO had said, especially for the in-flight, for those that are not as fast moving or for services and works, we have gotten in touch with the contract managers to ensure that we have at least reports on a monthly basis to submit and attach onto those files. So yes, we have instituted some mechanisms to ensure that we do not have a repeat of what we have going forward. So Chair, that is my humble submission.
Honorable Svambi.
Is giving good tips about procurement, but you have those guidelines documented for you to have like a checklist or a template, because what you're talking about is at like your whims, or when you have a problem then you come to patch up. Do you have those guidelines documented for guidance of your subordinate staff?
Yes, Honorable.
What you are doing. We also want to learn from tracking mechanism. What I'm excited to hear is that you have weekly meetings, because in that case you would know where you are lagging behind. Okay.
Chair, for the weekly is that we share the weekly status reports for fast moving items.
And yes, I was complimenting you.
Thank you, sir.
You know, even when I compliment you, you may not think I am. It is not good for you to be negative also. Review of implementation, page 15 of 23. When you look at the status of execution, 40%. Look at page 16, 30%. It's not a good score. Madam Jennifer, do you want to tell us you're doing this badly? You're doing so badly in terms of finances, so as to impact this much?
Thank you, Chair, for your question, and thank you, honorable members. Chair, for that financial year, we were approved to, our strategy was $201 million. because our strategy had ideas that we have been going through the report. If you notice, the Auditor General, the auditor team had issues like ammo, cargo, warehouse, things like that. Some of these things, our inability to conclude them were issues out of our making. But I'll endeavor to explain
Out
them.
of or beyond?
Beyond, rather. Thank you for the correction, Honorable. So we had a strategy which was approved of about 143 million. Now, Chair, certain activities.
143
million.
out of 201
Yes.
million
143,
dollars.
Yes. Chair, about 29% was unfunded. So the 30, 40 you see are the different objectives that are in that strategy and what falls under those objectives. So the first objective that you see in section 1, we only executed 40% of it at the time of this audit. Chair, we didn't have the resources because at the time it was, we were using our internally generated funds. And, but some of them now have been handled, but at the time that was the challenge.
No, you see the trouble and why I'm finding it disturbing.
Yes, sir.
Is at the time it was 40%.
Yes.
But by the time of writing this response,
Yes, sir.
you do not update us to say this
What
is
is
how far, because you are saying status of execution. As at the time of writing this, what I would have expected
Was to give you an update.
is to say, yes, it was 40% then.
Yeah.
We are now at 80%, because once we do not do in the financial year, we roll it over.
Okay. Thank you, Chair, for the correction. At the time of filling these responses, if you note, they've put particular areas that they looked at. The one was the customer profiling.
Yes.
That's already ongoing. We now have a system which is called the Customer Relationship Management System that supports the customer profiling. At the time of this audit, that system was still in a procurement process. Chair, we have the cargo marketing strategy. That one has been done. We have a draft of it, which we are still changing because a lot has happened now. The other document, the other application, Chair, was the crane flyer application that is already up and running. Then the call center, the strengthening of the call center, Chair, that is ongoing. My apologies for not putting it here, but at the time we sent these responses, those processes were ongoing.
Let's read together
Yes, sir.
of execution.
Okay, sir.
Certain activities of the corporate strategy were not undertaken due to a funding gap.
Yes, sir.
Management is, however, actively engaging stakeholders in the airline resource mobilization drive, including submitting a cabinet proposal for acquiring additional aircraft, engaging development financial institutions for patient capital, and implementing internal revenue enhancement and cost management strategies. Additionally, operational departments have been assigned specific revenue targets to achieve in financial year 25-26. When you read up to there,
Yeah.
what you are telling me is not there.
Okay.
So what I would advise is
stick
to
to what I
rewrite this
Okay.
and give the status update. Right? Honorable Tunga, the way you are looking at me,
If the query is in percentages, then it should be answered in percentages. A query in percentages must be answered in percentages. Actually, Chair, you would now be giving us the current status. That at the time of audit it was 40%, but today we are at 80%. So my interest, Chair, I just wanted to add on what you are saying, that they need to improve on their responses. And if need be, just give us the current status. We'll be happy.
maybe one thing which comes in these responses where I need your clarification. I see this idea of including submitting a cabinet proposal for acquiring additional aircrafts. How do you want to acquire them? Do you want to buy or you want to do leasing? I think it's a policy issue now, but I want to hear what you say about it. But then in response, that is page 16, I think you will do the same in terms of updating us on status. Meantime, you please answer the question of buying or purchasing vis-a-vis leasing.
Team internally that is headed by the head of engineering. Chair, allow me to request him to respond to that. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Chair.
Turbulence when I was communicating. The question I am asking, acquire. Now acquiring could be donation, could be...
Thank you, Chair. It's to purchase.
You want to purchase?
Yes, that's correct, to purchase.
What informs your strategy? Well, supposing you do leasing, what are the disadvantages of leasing? And advantages?
Thank you, Chair. Probably let me throw more light in terms of the purchase. Right now, if you'd like to purchase a brand new aircraft, you would have to have a waiting time of about 5 to 6 years, depending on which aircraft. So as a bridging solution, because you can't wait, you need to expand, so you've got to lease aircraft. In the meantime, you're waiting for your aircraft to be delivered. That means if you've gone ahead to order them and do the down payment, you've got to wait for the 6 years. But you can't wait that time because you've got to operate, yes.
At how many aircrafts do you want to acquire?
8 aircraft. That is, we're looking at on the narrow body, 4 of them. Then for wide body, we are looking at 2. That means the long haul ones, wide body 2, and then 2 freighters. The freighters, we are looking at a standard body. That means it's a small one. And then a medium range one. So those are 2. So for the medium range, 4. Then for the wide body, 2. And then for the freighters, 2.
Let's start with the one of the small body, not wide body. Wide body. How much is your projection each?
Are those figures?
You don't have the figures.
I don't have the figures.
I can even give you time, because we are now speaking mathematics. That's why I had opened my calculator here. Give us the projected figures for each, and give me the figures. Okay, give me the time for which you intend to fly time. Then you give me a comparative figure. If I went on the market to lease, okay, give me the advantages and disadvantages of both purchase and leasing. Advantages and disadvantages. Okay, but also take me into figures. Now, you being an engineer, you're better than me in mathematics. When I failed mathematics, I ran to the Honorable Nsibambi to teach me the law. Now that I have you and you're better at that, kindly do that for me.
Thank you, Chair. May not have the figures here with me.
Don't give me the figures now.
With me right now. But to speak to the advantages, the pros and cons of leasing versus the
purchase.
The purchase. Number one, the pros for leasing, it's a turnkey solution. If I want an aircraft now, there are if I might call stockists, or there are lessors out there that have them readily available. And the advantage to that is I can use a specific aircraft to test the market. Because unleasing has a time frame to it. Let's say I can lease an aircraft for 6 months, 1 year, depending on my requirements. So if I lease an aircraft and utilize it, I will be able to tell that, okay, this fits my requirement. Even, you can do a research and you test it. So if it doesn't fit your requirement, you take back the leased aeroplane. So that's an advantage. But if I've purchased an aircraft, I'll have depreciated it, and by the time I'm selling it, I may not be able to recover my money. So that's one advantage with leasing. And then the other one is, well, I'm a finance person, but I do have a little bit of understanding. If I purchased an aircraft, it will hit my books in terms of depreciation. But also, I will have to pay certain dues for this particular aircraft. So when I'm leasing an aircraft, I just pay the lease charges, and then that's it. Yes, yeah. So that's the advantage.
How about the risk? In terms of any problem, in terms of a risk related to maintenance, risk related to accidents?
Okay, that's covered by insurance.
Yes.
So whether I purchase the aircraft or I lease it, it's still covered by...
You are the operator?
Yes, I'm the operator. It's covered by leasing. There are two types of leasing. There is probably three. There's the dry lease, which I actually have the whole control. I still have to pay for leasing as a lessor. If it is a wet lease, it's included in my lease cost. So either way, I still have to pay for insurance. So I am covered in terms of insurance. What was the other question? In terms of maintenance. Either way, you still have to pay for maintenance. With the dry lease, I take care of maintenance as an entity. If I'm wet leasing, the fees that I pay to the lessor, it still includes maintenance. So either way, I still have to pay for maintenance. Except for if it is a wet lease, the lessor has to put his own markup because he's out there to make profit. So on top of the maintenance costs, he still puts his markup. So wet leasing is a little bit more expensive than dry leasing. So in terms of...
so in your write-up, please include all those ones. Because, but also the life of the aircrafts you're looking at. Honorable...
the life?
Yes. It has a lifetime. When I buy this car, I know I will not drive it beyond... for those of us, the Bafunampola, I will not drive it for more than 20 years. Then you also tell me for how long you intend to ride to fly that aircraft. Honorable Bumali Mpindi.
Yeah, but I have 3 questions. One, I want him to update us the status of the proposal of acquiring these aircraft, because the proposal is submitted to cabinet, but you have not told us how far as cabinet, how far is cabinet in regards to this. The other thing is about the cargo. I don't know whether, I didn't hear you out of the 8 addressing the issue of the cargo. And it is a huge challenge because I have been interacting with different people, especially those who fly to Dubai. The challenge that they are getting with the Uganda Airlines is the issue of cargo. Their cargo, the space is not enough, and it is something that can bring client on board. Then lastly is about the lease. the idea of leasing is okay in the circumstance that we don't have enough aircraft. But one day, I used one of the flight that you leased, and I felt bad. In the flight attendants were all whites, or Indian, or what, and the way they were behaving.
That one was answered in your absence.
Oh.
We will not go back to it.
Okay. So answer
Thank
that.
you.
But yeah, it is not bad to answer.
It is
to tell
bad
me.
to waste our time. Honorable Mkunyinji.
Chair, I want to use the words of the Auditor General. The engineer is telling us they intend to acquire additional aircrafts, but he's short of telling us which one, not CRJ, because which one, so that we don't go into the circle of those without repair. But and Chair, why I'm raising
detailed.
Why I'm raising it is that when you look at the recommendation of the Auditor General on page 14, the Auditor General is saying that the entity, the accounting officer must ensure that all their core mandate, what is within their mandate, are reflected in their strategic and annual work plan. And we may need to interrogate the of the whether actually they constitute the details of the strategic and annual work plans. Because before you talk about resources and mobilizing resources, and I saw in part of their response, they're even talking about negotiating with, I think, financial institutions for patient capital. So we need these details. Because these are people who may now probably mortgage our aircrafts for money without disclosure. If you are negotiating for financial, with financial institutions, is the Minister of Finance aware? Two, what kind of financial institutions are you negotiating? What are they giving and what are we taking?
Honestly.
Chair, this is within their management response.
You see, I'm reading the same response. I have also given them an assignment to tell us on what informs their suggestion to do the purchases. Now, while we are doing this oversight, I do not want us to subsume the board that we are going to now decide for them on the at a strategic level.
But
that they will go to the extent of even telling us which financial institutions they are negotiating with, what they are going to do. Really, if you've worked for any bank before, I do not think there is a bank or a financial institution that would want to be paraded here, and the terms under negotiations go on camera. I would not allow you to go that far. For the details, I think I have guided on sufficient details that we need as a committee for us to inform ourselves in terms of the strategic and the policy orientation. I want us to limit it to that. So when we receive their report, that will advise us on the policy intervention that we need to suggest to Parliament and to the country. So don't go into those financials who you are talking to and how you want to mortgage our airline. No. Whether they have approval from Ministry of Finance, for your information, is a shareholder, okay, and provides direct. Yes. So that Ministry of Finance bit is for.
My critical concern was, as Ugandans, we don't anticipate them mortgaging our aircraft, those we already have, in anticipation of those they need
Okay.
to acquire.
Don't mortgage our aircraft.
Because
so that's the statement you want to hear?
Yes.
Now, what do you want them to mortgage? Don't mortgage our CRGs, okay?
Chair.
Then what do you want them to mortgage?
Yeah, the government collects taxes from various sources. Let them
Have
seek.
you addressed your mind to the mandate of Parliament in the first place and this committee? Now, what you are saying is a policy recommendation that when they are borrowing, let government guarantee the loan, if any. The preliminary would be to say, don't even borrow. Government, provide them with the money they need. You understand? Because some of us are against excessive borrowing. But that's not our mandate to decide whether they will borrow or not. Because supposing somebody tells you, we are not in a position to raise that money. But that's our discussion, in-house boardroom discussion. We will handle that. It's not for this. Deputy Chair.
Number 2.
At page.
That is page 16 of management response.
Okay.
Only 30% of planned activities were executed. And that is the status of execution. Page 16.
Yes, Deputy Chair, what is your question?
Status of execution, only 30% of planned activities were executed.
I guided earlier, Deputy Chair, that they update us in percentage terms of the activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically, my concern was on land acquisition.
Yes, land acquisition, that could be a question.
Yes, at the airport. So what the details?
They are going to give us the details, right? On each and every one. Let's look at
Chair,
page.
Chair,
Yes.
we need also a copy. We need this copy of the cabinet proposal for acquiring additional aircraft, which was sent to the cabinet.
Okay.
I think it's better we
Please
look
share
at
with
this
us.
copy.
Share with us to end of close of business tomorrow. Let's
Yes,
have
we
that.
will share the same.
Okay.
Chair, I wanted to clarify that you guided well. We have a document on the fleet process and what guided the decisions from the fleet team. So we will provide that and it will answer Honorable's questions as well. And Honorable shouldn't worry that we will mortgage the airplane because it's a law. We cannot do that. It's a law by the land, sir. Thank you though for the question, Honorable.
Chair, there was a question I asked before, which was in regard to depreciation, where they under review, depreciation was actually taken to be at 117. Then the year before, it was 121 billion. So I wanted to know whether the aircraft, maybe they gain value as they age or they lose value as they age. So that's what I wanted.
To the gentleman in finance to respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable, I kindly request you kindly pardon me on your question for us to be able to give you a clear answer.
23, 2024, the value of depreciation is at before, that is 2022, 2023, it was 100. 2024, 2023, 2024, it is 117. 2022, 2023 is 121. So there is a difference that in the previous year, depreciation was given a high figure. Then the year under review, depreciation reduced. So is that possible that the aircraft gains value as it ages, or something, because we may give a wrong assumption that Ugandans should expect a lot of money from the aircraft as it ages.
Thank you, Chair. For the year under review, that is 23-24, there was a change in the accounting estimates. When I say change in accounting estimates, that is provided for in the accounting standards. So that meant that the rates that we're using to depreciate some of the assets were changed. And by changing that, that meant that the depreciation would automatically go down.
To repeat what he has said.
Thank you, Chair. There was a change in accounting estimates for the period that is 22-23 and 23-24. So changing accounting estimates implies that we are going to change some of the depreciation rates that we're using to depreciate our assets. Case in point, we were depreciating our engines of the aircraft at 16.7%. That gives us a lifespan of about, that gives the aircraft a lifespan of about 6 to 7 years. And if you look at our engine, the depreciation should be in terms of engine run hours. So that implies that you cannot say only 7 years, that is the value at which, or the 7 years is the useful life of the engine. So this implied we had to change the accounting estimates, and changing the accounting estimates automatically means that you're going to have a lower depreciation than what you had in the prior year.
Answered?
Mr. Chairman, initially they applied a different formula, and now they have been able to revise it to a different formula to get to the level of depreciation. Now, truthfully, in a business language, to someone who is listening to us, what should we go with? Should we say the aircraft engine is to last between 6 to 7 years, or it is more? Putting aside the technicalities of formulas and so on, what should we go with? That the engine can last 10 years, or it is between 6 and 7 years?
The engine of an aircraft can last beyond 6 years. And that implies, because again, as we are looking at the engine run hours, because an engine goes for, as the engineer alluded, the engine will go for a shop visit, which is a C-check, at the end of the after running for 10,000 hours. So at that point when it goes for a C-check, it's going for an overhaul. It's going for maintenance. At that point, you can either revalue the engine and say that after the overhaul, you're giving the engine a new life. So that implies it can run for another 10 hours. So in that case, we then say that the engine can run for more than 6 years, because you cannot estimate for how long, in terms of years, the engine will run to make the 10,000 hours. So it could be 6 years and above, or it could be 6 years, and depending on the utilization of the aircraft.
Yeah. Confusion from the explanation. Because one, I thought that all formulas, the two formulas capture the hours usage. But I think he's trying now
to not entirely correct. It depends on how often you use it and for how long for you to cover the 10 hours. You may cover the 10 hours in 1 week, then you go back for the C-check. You may cover the 10 hours in 1 month.
Chair, let's allow the engineer to respond to the question, and also we'll allow...
Let the engineer educate us.
Yes, and then another colleague will educate on the issue that he asked.
And I do not mean the engineer that is walking in and that is not smartly dressed.
I would like to explain the life of aircraft. Aircraft are lived in either in the calendar days or in the flight hours or what they call also engine hours. For engines, like you requested, when the manufacturer builds these engines, they will tell you that the life of these particular parts will be X number of flight hours or flight cycles, as they call it. So when that time comes, whether the engine is working very well, you have to remove it and take it to the shop for overhaul. So during overhaul, they replace so many parts, and that aircraft and that engine is more or less as good as new. The life is more or less to zero. So that means its life gets back to where it was. So it starts from that point. Okay. So that's the life of aircraft parts. It is either in flight cycles or in flight hours. So a flight cycle is when an aircraft, if it takes off and lands in the next destination, that is one cycle. If it takes off and lands in another destination, those are two cycles. So that's how the life is. Then the hours are just the normal hours that you have. If it flies from here to X destination and it takes 2 hours, so the life there is 2 hours. So the life of an aircraft parts in there are in terms of flight hours and the flight cycles. And the utilization will inform when they go for maintenance. So if I have my aircraft parked most of the time, and the regulation says I have to replace or overhaul this part after, let's say, 10 cycles, if I park it for 1 month and fly it only twice, I only utilize 2, so I get more time on it. So that's how the life of this aircraft are managed.
Martin, have you been educated?
Very big financial cost.
Indeed.
Because repairs alone are very expensive. So we need to understand it better so that we can explain the reason why the aircraft is actually, the aviation setup is incurring more losses. So that's why we are interested in knowing the difference between the first formula and the current formula. Why did you deviate from the first formula now to the current formula? What are the issues that you realize that perhaps we are causing a financial loss, and therefore by applying this formula, saving some money? Because ideally, like I have a car, the mechanic may tell me every week, come and we do service, even why it's not necessary.
Engineer, can you also pick the clarity from
the cycle and the hour? You said when the flights come, they fly to different destinations. So if you are talking of the cycle, which you explained that the cycle is counted when it departs and when it reaches the other side. So supposing it is flying to Nairobi and another is flying to London, and for you are counting the cycle, in terms of distance, are those cycles the same?
Okay. The cycles, you rightfully say, if I fly from here to London, London is like 9 hours, and I fly back to Entebbe another 9, those are 18. But I will have done 2 cycles, but 18 flight hours. If I fly to Nairobi, which is 1 hour, and return to Entebbe another 1 hour, I will have done 2 cycles and 2 flight hours. So the cycle is when you take off and then when you land. So the longer the distance, the fewer the flight cycles. That's how it works. And aircraft parts are lifed either way. There are parts that are lifed using cycles. That is for your engine. For the engine, it is in terms of the cycle. So if I take off and land, that is 1 cycle. Yes, so, but for aircraft, there are certain things. I'll give you an example of the airframe, the body of the aircraft is lifed both on cycles and then on the calendar days this time. if the program from the manufacturer tells you this aircraft, after 1 month, you've got to do X number of checks. Whether it is perfect, it's flying, no issues, in that 1 month, you've got to do it. There are no shortcuts to that. Otherwise, if you don't do it, you are not following the regulation. So that's how we manage maintenance.
I just wanted to learn the 10 hours.
That's where we have a department that does the planning.
Okay.
So we know the schedule. First of all, from commercial, they give us the schedule that we operate. So we estimate and know that this aircraft will fly an X number, and every day we update that information. So we'll know that this particular aircraft, in the next 4 hours or 10 hours, whatever, it will run out. So we will not schedule it to fly, but we put it on ground to maintain. So it's all planned. There's a whole department in engineering that does the planning, what we call maintenance planning, to ensure that this aircraft do not fall due when it is on a flight or when it is at the other destination. So we plan all that maintenance.
On fixed deposits, in the year 2023, there was some money. 2024, the dash. Maybe you'll also explain.
Page 23?
Page 32. Notes to the financial statements. That is 13 software. If the fixed deposits are not now attracting any interest, maybe you'll also explain that.
Did you say not? Not? Which note did you say?
Just, that is, I think, 15, trade and other receivables. Trade and other receivables.
Okay. Yeah, not 15. Trade and other receivables.
So there is that component of accrued interest on fixed deposits. June 2023, there was interest of 189 million. June 24, there is a dash. So we just need to understand whether in that year,
that can be answered in 5 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable. If you look at the accrued interest that we had for fixed deposit in 23, and then we don't have the same in 24. So the fixed deposits, the interest had been realized. So, and that implies that in the year 23-24, we did not have, by the end of the year, we didn't have fixed deposits as an entity. So that's why we didn't have the accrued interest.
Maybe what that takes us to another question, to get money to do work. That's why you're telling us we did not implement this because we didn't have the money. But you have money to put on fixed deposit. How do you explain that?
Mr. Chair, fixed deposit is a cash management process. Why we usually fix some money is that we want to create more revenue for the entity. If we collected today, say 2 billion Uganda shillings, if we fix that for about three months, we are able to generate more revenue that could help us meet some of the, what I would call the small expenses from the interest that we would have obtained from fixing this money.
Yes, but at what cost? At the cost of not delivering the service you want to deliver or you plan to deliver? Or it could arise in cases, for example, you have started a procurement process. Other than keeping the money there, yes. But ordinarily, why would you have fixed deposits when the money is given to you or is generated to work? Make more money, deliver service.
Chair, I think for that we take note. However, I think we continue to look at it and explore. But again, as mentioned, it is a credit creation procedure or process. So as the airline, I think we shall continue to review at the point at which we have to continue fixing these monies.
Yes, Honorable.